It's time to bid adieu to February and greet March, and today I'm just going to be sharing a few things you may want to think about as we prepare to enter this spring season. Hi, welcome to Gently Being. There are two times during the year where I find I really like to sit down and just pre-plan and pre-think how I'm going to approach the rituals, celebrations, festivals that are coming up. And those two times of the year are spring and autumn. And that's because these are times that are kind of full of a lot of work, and if you choose to have celebrations and rituals a lot in those seasons. And I believe that part of this is because of the big shifts and changes in our environment, and of course those transitions that night and day are making. And by making the time to really honor those times and to notice them and to make sacred space and sacred time for yourself really allows you to live more in the moment, notice those changes, and honor those changes that are happening. So now that it's at the very end of February, we are going to be stepping into March. And March, April, to me, is a huge time for reflection, ritual, and honoring of that spring season. So the first thing you're going to want to do is grab a pad of paper or your journal and jot down the dates that you want to create sacred time on, sacred space for. Depending on the different traditions that you are a part of, you can really have an overlap of ceremonies, festivals, rituals that take place. A lot of us are a hybrid of different traditions, and I think it's great if you can really meld them and bring them to life together. Some of the dates you may want to consider is March 13th brings the March new moon, and then there is Ostara and spring equinox on March 20th, and March 28th will bring the full worm moon. One of the things that I find fascinating about spring specifically is that it's a time where I more notice regional differences. So spring is a time for noticing, if you live in the northern hemisphere, especially where you get snow, that those beautiful little snowdrop flowers are starting to come out. And for some people, they've already started to appear in February. But for where I live, we still have a lot of snow, so there's still an anticipation for that. Spring has an interesting way of rolling out, and it's definitely different depending on where you live. And you might want to take into consideration how spring typically rolls out in the region you live in, and that may help you think of the rituals you'd like to do and how you'd like to prepare for this coming spring season. Of course, one of the huge transitions of this time is the way that the night and the daytime are becoming more equal, and gradually we see the sun taking over and having more hours of daylight. So you may want to consider, how do you want to celebrate this return of light? Perhaps you want to greet the sun each morning and greet the moon each night. You may want to have your own little meditation or prayer, or even just witnessing it in the sky and taking those few breaths to notice that return of the light and the longer daylight, and still taking that time to see the beautiful night sky when it comes out. Here on Gently Being, I'm planning videos out to share some ideas for rituals and celebrations for the March new moon, the March full moon, Ostara / the spring equinox, and then leading in to the Easter season, because I myself like to still incorporate ritual and celebration for the Easter season. So that may be something you also do, or maybe not, because again, we all have these different traditions and heritages that we honor at these times. Just for a small example of one of the changes I like to make between this winter season and spring season is I have this little card that's above my desk, and I like to change the image that's above my desk from time to time during the seasons. And this little cute sort of hibernating winter mouse just really speaks to me of what the season's like. And I know that as I move further into spring, I'm going to want to change the image to something that more represents the spring season for me. But I'm not quite there yet, because where I live, it's still very much me with my hat, my scarf and my mittens. So I'm really thinking about what I might want to put up there. I hope this video gave you a few ideas of things to consider as we prepare to enter this spring festive season. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below, and hit the bell so you always know when there's a new video. Thanks so much for spending time with Gently Being.